Stephanie and this is my home, the 16th century Chateau de Lalande. Lalande was owned for hundreds of years by a family of marquises who were at the heart of French royal life. One of them even had the honour of being sent by King Louis XV to greet Marie Antoinette on her arrival in France. But, far from being a stuffy museum, this chateau is a living home. I live here all the time and am regularly joined by my mother, my family, my friends, and wonderful volunteers from all over the world who help me to lovingly restore this historic home. Welcome to Lalande, a chateau filled with life, love, and laughter. Hello, and welcome to the Chateau de Lalande. Follow me over the moat and through the main courtyard, and we'll start in the reception rooms. Welcome to Lalande's entrance hall. This is the first room that anyone arrives in when they come and visit the chateau. It still needs a lot of work, but then so do many of the rooms in the chateau, as you'll see when we're walking around. And that's why I hadn't done this tour, which so many people have asked me to do up until now, but I've suddenly decided that no, it'll probably be a work in progress for the rest of my life, so I may as well do tours every now and then and show you the chateau as it progresses over the years. This will be the next room to be decorated, and I'm super excited. I can't tell you about it, I'm keeping it as a surprise, but that's something to look forward to in future. There'll be a big transformation here. One of the loveliest things about this room is the huge 16th century fireplace that we found behind some wall panelling when we arrived. We'd had no idea it was there, and there's a gorgeous fire back. You can see that our Christmas wreath hasn't been burnt yet, it's waiting. And behind it is the cast iron fire back that we discovered with the coat of arms of the family of the Marquis of Nadillac, who lived here for over 200 years. The entrance hall contains one of my favourite pieces of furniture in the entire chateau, which is this early 19th century French daybed. It is all gilded and carved. It has amazing neoclassical mouldings on it. But the reason I love it so much is that I bought it long before I bought the chateau, but I kind of believed that one day I would have the right home to put it in. So I feel that it's a symbol of optimism. I'm especially excited about redecorating this room and making it beautiful because I think an entrance hall serves a very important purpose in a house. The entrance hall is your opportunity to tell people what they can expect in terms of style, comfort, and welcome in your home. And it's also an important bridge between the interior and the exterior, and that's especially true at Lalande because it leads straight from the principal courtyard all the way through to the terrace. That's why I wanted to fill ours with lots of terracotta and plants. Like most French chateaux, Lalande is built on what's called an enfilade, which means that each of the reception rooms open straight onto one another and there's no corridor. You have to walk through each room to get to the next. So once you're in the entrance hall, you can walk this way towards the dining room and the petit salon and then the kitchen, or this way towards the main reception rooms, the grand salon and the winter salon. We're going to start there because that's what most guests would do. Walking out of the entrance hall, the first thing you see is the staircase on your left. And the stairs also open directly onto the main courtyard. Carrying on past the stairs, you come to the Grand Salon, which is situated in the 16th century original wing of the chateau. Welcome to the Grand Salon, the largest room at Lalande and the place where for centuries people have been gathering for parties. Think of the dramas that must have been played out here over hundreds of years. I think about that often when I'm here. It's a beautiful place, especially in the evening, because in the evening the light streams through these doors that lead straight onto the terrace. When the chateau is full of guests, this is the room that we gather in for cocktails before going through to either the dining room or the terrace to have dinner in the evening. I made all of the curtains in the chateau, and before getting here I'd never made curtains before, so it was quite a steep learning curve, but the ones in this room are the most lavish because I needed hundreds of meters just for this room. And I chose 2 fabrics from Watts of Westminster in England, who've been making stunning fabrics since the Victorian era. Although you can't tell from a distance, it's actually exactly the same pattern, but this one is made in a lavish gold, and this is in a plain cream. Each window here has 2 sets of curtains on it, and I made the palmettes in quite a sober style to reflect the fact that we are in the ancient, masculine part of the chateau here, in the old fortified part. And if you come past the curtains, once again from this room, we can go straight outside to the terrace. And we're very lucky here because that's the case with a lot of rooms in the chateau. They all lead straight outside. So although it's a big, solid chateau with metre-thick granite walls, it really feels as though you're always very close to the outside too. Nature is part of everyday life here. I'm looking forward to making another tour in the summer where you'll be able to see the terrace covered with furniture. We put chandeliers out here in the summer too, and it's really magical. But at the moment, there's not much outside living, I'll be honest. It's still a little bit chilly. Back inside the salon, I'd love to show you some of my father's paintings. He was an amazing artist and lived with me here until his death in 2009. This is another of my favourite objects in the house. It's a beautiful early 19th century écritoire. I love this carving on the front of a soldier and his love in front of a horse in an exotic landscape because there's palm trees behind them. But what I love the most is that when you open the door, you discover lots more little drawers inside. I always imagine that one day I will sit here and write a masterpiece. But I don't actually like writing, so that's probably never going to happen. Still, it's nice to dream, and this is a piece of furniture that allows me to dream. If any of you are interested in knowing more about the decoration of the Grand Salon or about any of the objects in it, I've made a separate video about it that you can find on this channel. The Grand Salon leads straight to the Winter Salon, and opening these doors always gives me the same effect as opening that lovely écritoire. You go from this painted pale room to a rich, dark room beyond. The Winter Salon used to be the billiard room when we bought the chateau. The billiard table that's now below the painting of my father in the Grand Salon was in the middle of this room. And you can see that the original lights for it are still here. We've just spun them round to give space for the sofas. Like the Grand Salon, the Winter Salon is in the original 16th century wing of the chateau. But it is much darker, and so I decided to reflect that in the decoration and not to fight the lack of light, but to make it a virtue. And that's why it's rather dark colours. It's got a much more masculine feel, which also keeps in with the fact that it was once the billiard room. It has a working fireplace, and so in winter, it's the snuggest room in the house. We shut the curtains, we light the fire and sit around. This is where we chat in the evening and where we play board games or come and sit and read quietly if we're alone. And we're always fighting over the 2 armchairs that are closest to the fire. As you can see, we also use this room as our library, but one day I would like to have the entire room filled with shelves from floor to ceiling. So I have a lot of books in here, but also objects that I've collected from all over the world. This is a Burmese betel nut box, and the work on it is so delicate and beautiful. I bought these lovely chairs in India. They were a right pain to get back on the plane. My best hat gets pride of place in this room. I bought this in Venice one year. Once again, I made the curtains with a flat pelmet, a little bit more decorated than the room next door. And this time I chose the most glorious silvery green, which I think marries very well with my father's medieval painting, which for me is the highlight of the room. As you can see, there's another little door at the end of this room, and it leads to the Marquis's private apartment. But I won't show you that today. That's an apartment that we now rent separately, and I will show you all of our apartments next week. Today we'll carry on in the main part of the house. So let's go and see the other side of the enfilade, and then I'll show you the guest bedrooms. And now if we leave the Winter Salon and walk back through the Grand Salon, we will get to the entrance hall. And from the entrance hall, we enter the dining room. The dining room is possibly my favourite room at Lalande because of this rich red chinoiserie wallpaper, which I put onto the walls myself one cold winter, and I would drag myself out of bed in the morning to come and put the next strip on. And it was just wonderful fun because I could see the room slowly transforming before my eyes. The wonderful thing about living in a home with an enfilade where all of the rooms lead into one another is that no rooms get forgotten about. Often in houses, nobody ever goes into the dining room and they sit there unloved. Whereas this is an integral part of the house. We walk through this room every single day, and maybe because of that, we really do use it very often because it feels warm and snug and enveloping. One of the things I most enjoy in this room is this little unassuming looking chest of drawers, which is actually a cutlery set by the great French manufacturer Christophe. It's not complete yet, but I'm adding to it bit by bit. It has its original set in it, which is designed by Luc Lanel in the 1930s. And luckily, I'm still able to find the missing pieces on eBay quite easily in France. So bit by bit, when I can, I order a little bit more to add to the set. Like the entrance hall, this room leads straight into the principal courtyard. And the curtains that I chose for it are a golden silk, carrying on with the chinoiserie theme. You can see there's large birds on huge boughs with leaves and flowers. I think it marries really well with the wallpaper. When there aren't many of us in the chateau, I tend to use this as my room during the day, hence the sofa in here. And often I clear everything from the table and use it as my sewing room. Every curtain in the chateau was made in this room. And in the doorway to the entrance hall that we never use, you can see I've hidden all of my sewing things. I will definitely tidy those before our guests start to arrive for the year, but goodness knows when that will be. It looks as though this lockdown is here for some time. So in the meantime, we better get on with improving things in the chateau. The dining room leads directly to my study. This is the room where all of the chateau is run. You can see that it's a bit of a, well, I was going to say dumping ground, but maybe I mean a waiting room for things going to other parts of the chateau. That is a headboard that I've upholstered for one of the bedrooms upstairs, waiting to go to its home. And in the study, we have the lovely original drawings when the chateau was altered in the 19th century after a fire that ravaged one of the wings. So we still have the original 16th century wing, and this part was remodeled in the 19th century because of that fire. We are currently standing in this room here, and it says that that was originally the room in which the food would have been stored before going through to the dining room. The days of needing an entire room for interim food storage are behind us. Possibly, sadly, that sounds quite lavish, but it's fantastic having an office right next to the kitchen because the whole heart of the house is together. Because yes, through this passageway is the room that any of you who regularly watch my vlog will recognise the most. It's the chateau kitchen. Welcome to the heart of the chateau. This is the kitchen. We spend most of our time in here. This is where all of the laughters happen, where the plans are made, where we plot what we're going to be doing in the months ahead, where we argue over what we want to eat for dinner. This is the hub of the whole house. This room has been the kitchen of the chateau ever since this wing was rebuilt in the 19th century. As you can see from the original range cooker, Atelier Briffaut were very well known in their day. They were the Rolls-Royce of range cookers in France in the late 19th century. We do turn it on maybe once a year, usually at Christmas, but most of the time we use the newer range. This is a La Cornue, and I chose it because it marries quite well with the old one. This is the most contentious seat in the house. And basically that means that when my mother isn't here, it's mine, and when my mother is here, it's hers. The kitchen is the room where I store my collection of blue and white china, which you can see I have a bit of a thing for. And I love the blue and white theme so much that I even made matching curtains using fabric that I managed to salvage from one of the bedrooms here. It was the wool fabric, and it had to be removed because it was black with years and years of smoke from the chimneys. and it couldn't be put back onto the walls afterwards, but has made beautiful curtains, even with bows, for the kitchen. This huge cupboard I actually found in another room of the chateau, and we moved it to the kitchen, and this is where everything is stored. So, well, please excuse what it looks like, but if you're anything like me, you're going to want to look in some of the cupboards at least. We have a lot of glasses, but it might just be my mother and I in the main body of the chateau at the moment. Usually it is not like this in summer. There are so many of us, and all of these get used. We use the side of the huge cupboard to leave messages to each other and to put our shopping lists. And just through here is the arrière-cuisine, where we do all the washing up, we store the pots and pans, because sometimes we have to cater for over 30 people in this house, so we need a lot of dishes. I dream one day of having a proper cupboard just for all of these things. And one of the best things about the kitchen is that there's a door that leads straight outside. I feel very lucky every day when I see that view from my kitchen. As with many of the other rooms, I've also made a video just about the redecoration of this kitchen. It was the first job we tackled when we got here because it was the most important room to us. And I've also made a video about the history of Spode porcelain, so if you're interested in that, check it out. By the way, I'm really sorry that I've been wearing my coat the whole time that I've been showing you around. But the thing is that our heating is broken, and although it's a lovely, sunny, beautiful day, it's actually 10 degrees in the chateau today. So every second that I'm not filming, when I'm behind the camera, I'm holding my hot water bottle going, oh, that does feel a lot better actually. Chateaus are very beautiful and they're practical in many ways. You have an embarrassment of space. You can have all of your friends and family staying with you. It's a complete joy, but they're not warm. They're really, really not warm. I don't know about you, but whenever I go on a tour of a historic house, the thing I am most excited to see are the bedrooms. I'm obsessed with bedrooms. So would you like to come with me and I'll show you our principal bedrooms? And to get to them, we need to head back down the enfilade. And this time we'll go up the stairs. And these are the main stairs at Lalande. Now, it frustrates me that they're not open in the middle of the entrance hall. I would love that. But they are very ancient, solid granite stairs that carry on as granite all the way up 2 flights to the attic. All of our main bedrooms are along this corridor. The first door is the electrical cupboard where we have the fuse box and the router, most important thing. So we'll start here in the chambre rose. This is the chambre rose. Now, it may surprise you that it's called the pink room when it's not actually pink. It's yellow with green furniture. But when we first moved into this chateau, the previous family who'd lived here for over 200 years had named all of the bedrooms. And I wanted to keep a sense of history and continuity, so we kept all of the same names. This room, however, had a wallpaper that was quite damaged and it wasn't particularly historic. It had probably been done in the 60s or 70s and I felt that I could change it. So I chose this stunning Indian toile from the British manufacturers Cole & Son. I love this wallpaper very, very much. But I still kept the name Chambre Rose. And just so that it wasn't too confusing, I added pink curtains. I'm working on a few extra decorative touches in this room. You'll see that there are 2 paintings just leaning up against the wall. They're going to go up, I think, over the 2 beds, which will be put slightly further apart. And they were a swap from Michael and Billy Petherick at the Chateau de la Baminière because they needed some oak planks that I had here at Lalande in order to make a beautiful extension for their dining room table. And so they asked if I would swap them for these 2 gorgeous toiles. And I think everyone's pretty happy with the swap. This bedroom didn't have its own bathroom, so we managed to fit a little shower room into the thickness of the wall. It's very tiny, but it has a loo, a beautiful Venetian mirror, and a shower. But possibly the most magical thing in these bedrooms is the sound of birdsong from outside. Next, we're going to see one of my favourite bedrooms, the Chambre de Roger. It's the smallest one in this wing, but it is so romantic. Though it may be tiny, this bedroom is one of the richest in detail and history. It has the most incongruous name of them all because it's called the Chambre de Roger, or Roger's room. And that doesn't seem to fit such a feminine bedroom. But Roger was the valet of the Marquise at the turn of the 20th century, and this was his bedroom. And I think it's as important to remember the people who worked in this house as the people who owned it. So for as long as I'm at the chateau, it will be called the Chambre de Roger. I used the original vintage French wallpaper in this room as the starting point for the decorative scheme, which I based on Venice. There's a chandelier from Murano, a Venetian mirror, and an Italian wardrobe. This sumptuous bed is an original 18th century antique lit à la polonaise, and I upholstered it with silks from the historic silk factories at Sudbury in England. I chose this lovely, soft, watery blue-green and lined it in apricot. I love the combination of the colours together. I think it makes it feel really warm inside the bed. And like almost all of the bedrooms in this wing, it has a beautiful view over our miniature Wissant sheep. Once again, there was no bathroom, so we managed to put one in the thickness of the wall. And to get to it, you go through the original cupboard doors. It is tiny, but we managed to fit in a loo and a shower and a sink, and I chose this lovely wallpaper from Designers Guild, which brings out the same colours as the original vintage wallpaper in the bedroom. This next bedroom is called La Chambre de la Tour, the tower bedroom. This is the bedroom that we've most recently redecorated at the chateau. But I made sure that we kept the original wallpaper, which is from a French company called Paul Dumas, which was started in the mid-19th century and went on to become extremely prestigious, even making fabrics and wallpapers for the emperor. It had this lovely alcove, and we didn't know where to put the bathroom, as usual, a constant problem in a chateau, because I don't like it at all when bathrooms are just built into a room, changing all of the proportions. So again, here we used the cupboards, but we only had 2 tiny cupboards to work with. So there is a loo on one side and a shower on the other. It's not often I get excited about a loo, but I really do like this one. Many of you are already fans of Michael's vlog, Doing It Ourselves, and this room, which he helped me decorate, is one of his greatest triumphs, because the panelling that you see is not real. He painted it all by hand. It's trompe-l'œil. He worked with a great volunteer who was staying with us at the time, and between them, they painted the whole room to look like panelling in this lovely fresh green colour that's lifted it completely. I had a tiny bit of the original fabric to match the wallpaper left at the bottom of a cupboard somewhere in the chateau, and there was just enough for me to line all of the curtains with the stripes that match the wallpaper, and I chose this sunshiny yellow fabric. This bedroom has a huge painting by my father, which I love. With just a few simple lines, he's captured a very pensive moment in a woman's life. This is the only bedroom in this wing that doesn't look onto the east garden. Instead, it has a view of the main courtyard. But the reason that this bedroom is called the Chambre de la Tour is because it has a secret passageway leading to the tower. We use it as a wardrobe, and if you step through the wardrobe, like stepping into Narnia, you can just keep going. And in the tower, you can use the 16th century spiral staircase to go up to the attics or down to the courtyard, or more mysteriously, you can get into the bathroom of the bedroom next door. Oh, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll be looking at that bathroom later. And now to see the Marquise's bedroom, we must go round this corner. First, we pass my fabric cupboard. I'll quickly show you what's in here. It's where I store all the spare fabrics that I'll use for projects in future. The Marquise lived in the bedroom at the very end of the ancient wing of the chateau, through here. I bought the Chateau de Lalande from the Marquis de Nardaillac, who is now in his 90s, and this was the bedroom of his grandmother, the Marquise. It's called Chambre Bonne Maman because Bonne Maman is the polite term for grandmother in French. This Marquise is the one whose valet was the famous Roger, who lived in the room just at the end of the corridor. And incredibly, this was her bed. We're lucky enough to have her suite of bedroom furniture dating from the Belle Epoque. The walls of this bedroom are entirely lined in a yellow and green silk brocade. I like the fact that light comes from two sides of the room, as well as the usual view over the mini sheet. She also had a window looking out to the front of the chateau. And she could keep a very good eye on anyone coming and going as she looked over the bridge over the moat. Through here was her bathroom. She had by far the largest bathroom in the house. This was her original washstand, which I had fitted with a sink. And this is that door that leads to the tower and the bedroom next door. Why did she have this, I wonder? But instead of going down the secret passage, we're going to head back the way we came. We have just seen all of the bedrooms in this corridor, and now there's just one suite remaining through here. This is La Chambre Perse, meaning the Persian room, and that's because of this paisley-esque wallpaper. This is a good place to sit and watch our miniature Wissant sheep. Look at all that mistletoe in the trees. My parents bought me this beautiful French bedroom suite. I think it was for my 21st birthday. I was living in a bungalow at the time. It looked a bit incongruous, but it's found its home now. There's a lovely matching dressing table and chair. And the beautifully carved bed. The table to the right of the bed came with the suite too. This is the best room in the house in the evenings because it faces west. It's also a handy spot for eavesdropping on anyone gossiping on the terrace after a party. I very nearly chose this bedroom for my own when we first moved to Lalande because I love the wallpaper. It has gorgeously high ceilings, great proportions. It's a beautiful room. But in the end, it was too far from the kitchen and my love of tea and snacking won over. I love these curtains so much. They're easily the ones I'm most proud of in the house because it was the first time I'd ever made swags and tails, and they're huge swags and tails to have to start with. Plus, I had to make them in two different fabrics because I just had a tiny bit of the matching fabric for this wallpaper, but there wasn't enough to do all of the curtains, so I just made the swags and the tails out of it. And I want to show you the Watts of Westminster silk. Look at that yellow silk. Even on the darkest day, it feels as though sunshine is pouring into this room. We usually rent this room out as a suite because this little door leads to the adjoining bedroom next door and the two share a bathroom. So 4 people can sleep here, 2 in the double bed and 2 in the twin beds next door. Of all of the principal bedrooms in this wing, this is the one that still needs the most work. I haven't done anything other than use the room as it is, put temporary curtains in place and a bit of furniture. I haven't done anything to pull the decorative scheme together yet, but I love this vintage wallpaper so much that I'm extremely excited about finishing this room. There is this incredible pelmet which I bought at auction, and that's waiting to go up here, and I will make beautiful cream curtains to match. And I also recently at the local charity shop bought 2 little bedside tables, and they need painting. Some of you may remember that in the petit salon there was a headboard that had been upholstered, and that's in the same fabric as the wallpaper. And I have 2 headboards like that, which will come for these beds. A nice radiator cover, and then the room will be coming together. Again, the room faces west, so the views in the evening are stunning. Sorry about the state of the window panes. We're in a lockdown, the cleaner can't get to us, and my mother and I are a bit overwhelmed with all these bedrooms. But look, when the window's clean or open, there's a lovely view. And this is the bathroom that those 2 bedrooms share. The bathroom of la chambre perse. The bath is original to the chateau, and I had a sink fitted into an Edwardian washstand. Now you've seen all of the bedrooms in the ancient wing of the chateau, except for the apartment of the Marquis downstairs. The door that you see behind me leads to my rooms, and in the next tour I will show you all of the private apartments at Lalande, the one of the Marquis, mine, my mother's, and a new apartment that we've created in the old groom's quarters over the stables. Well, here we are back in the entrance hall at the end of our tour. I hope you enjoyed this little visit around the Chateau de Lalande. There's still so much for me to show you. If you're still in the mood for looking around more French chateaux, then go straight over to the YouTube channel Doing It Ourselves, where this evening my great friend Michael will be posting a tour of his family's chateau, the Chateau de la Baminière, and it is spectacular. And of course you're free to join us at the Chateau de Lalande anytime, because I post a regular vlog about daily life here. Thank you so much for joining us at Lalande, and I look forward to continuing the tour with you next week. Bye from the chateau. A huge thank you to all of our patrons at Lalande who are making this vlog possible, especially our Marquis and Marquises of Lalande, Daniela, Laura de Murray, Caroline Forster, Brenda Gibbons, Maureen Palmer, Brian Woodward and David Young. And thank you to all of you. And it's also an important bridge between the interior and the exterior. And that's especially true at Lalande because it leads straight from the principal courtyard all the way through to the terrace.